There you go. Recording for real. And roll it out. Oh, close. It's Carol Leifer. It was Carol Leifer confirming tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Not bad.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Let's see. There we go. Turn that stuff off. How's it going, Mrs. Ryan?
It's going.
I like your shirt today.
Thank you. I like your shirt today.
Thank you. Why are we wearing these shirts today, Mrs. Ryan?
Well, I think that's because Marco, it's in his family, and that's how we know him, TLG.
That's
and
right.
He's going to be here momentarily.
Marco Gerace is in the house. He's checking in right now.
Woohoo!
Clearly must be on some sort of social media. And also who is here with us is one of our favorite people from Breakfast Club, or the favorite people we've met through Breakfast Club. Now we happen to see you everywhere. You're in our home. George Puckaber? Okay, I've never said your last name. Is that right, Puckaber?
There you go.
All right. Fabulous. Shark Boy G on the social, though. You see him all the time in our cars. I think we made a video when he was driving his 356 with Derek Whitaker.
Oh, that's right.
So he's just spectating today, but he's longtime friends with Marco, so he came in to be in the studio audience. We are appreciative.
Thank you.
Happy to have you here in our home. And Mrs. Ryan, that's hellos. Let's do, I want to get right to Marco, but let's do the East Coast feed first.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into the news. All right,
Cool.
so first, Steve Kaz with the East Coast feed.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, Steve Kaz here, East Coast Feed. As you can see, I'm soaking up a little bit of sun. This is the best we can do after 6 days straight of work, and you work at a car dealership, and you got a little bit of nature and shit in your life. You know, it looks like this.
It is pretty. It must be a
And man, as good as it's going to get. It's not like California where we get sun all the goddamn time. You know, we have snow and shitty days out here. I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you. It's a beautiful day. Listen to last night's podcast. Coming out beautiful. You guys are doing great. Love you. Catch you guys later.
You gotta love him, right?
That image is going to stay in my head forever. I love him.
He clearly must be like at lunch break or whatever, because it was all the BMWs in the background, and then there's just some pond, and like they just must sit back there and have lunch or something. Love that. Ridgefield BMW,
amazing.
Ridgefield, Connecticut. Go see
Kaz.
Steve Kaz. He's a blast. You can't buy a car from him, but he works in service, so you can definitely you can have a long-standing relationship with him as you
Yeah.
service your car in Ridgefield. Do you want to get right into we have a TLG video to play before Marco gets out here, but you want to do the news first?
I want to do the news because Marco said he was going to watch it.
Oh my goodness! All
So
right,
I have my own audience.
In that case, what's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
What's
Dun, 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 dun.
dun. Okay, so I kept my news. Well, I'm gonna. You sent me an article about high functioning anxiety.
Yeah,
Which I definitely.
it's a compliment.
It's a huge compliment.
You're high functioning.
Yeah, I'm a jerk. So when it hits in, so I want to talk about that. I wanted to acknowledge it and say I will address it in a full episode because I'm writing about it and it really hit home.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
thanks.
I read it and I thought of you, and I'm glad that you weren't offended in any way. Wow.
I read it, thought of you.
I thought of you in the same way that I saw Jamie Lynn Sigler's post today, and I sent that to you as well. You know, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of, you personally are going through a lot of stuff right now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I feel like you're not alone, and I just want you to know that.
That's what I took it, and I read it that way. I haven't seen Jamie's. I'm trying to scale back on the media ingestment, but...
Ingestment?
Yeah.
Ingestion?
I don't know. I might have made up a word.
It's all right. That's good.
I'll ask Carol who called it. Mark Numbers who's calling it. They're smarter than me.
All right. How about we'll start this over. What's going on?
The real headline scenario. The Seth MacFarlane donated $2.5 million to NPR and the local LA station KPCC after a Fox tweet.
Yes. Do you know anything more?
I do. I know what the tweet is, and that Fox Entertainment's not happy about it either.
Yeah, I think that's the gist of it, though. I think he was standing up for what he believed and not just the company he works for.
Yeah, I thought it was a really
honestly, I give him a lot of
cool.
credit. Yeah, it's a weird way to be philanthropic and a whistleblower at the same time.
Yeah. That's kind of what I loved about
Plus,
it. It was-
NPR rocks, and they
great.
need the money. I'd much rather have NPR have $2.5 million from Seth MacFarlane.
It was, to me, the best kind of donation because he didn't have to say anything. He just gave incredibly generously to something that means a lot to him, and that makes its own statement.
100%.
So I love
Good
that.
for you. All right, that was on mine as well. I'm glad you brought that up. What do you got
good.
next?
My next one is Hawaiian tourists are being fined up to $5,000 for taking photos of the lava of whatever.
Now, I read that headline, but I didn't read the story. Can you tell me what the deal is there?
Well, kind of like, we drive by horribly car accidents, so everyone does, and like the lanes slow down because like people are looking and gawking.
That's what I'm getting at.
whatever.
So is it while they're driving and there's a lot of rubbernecking and I wasn't sure if they were impeding. It's not like firefighters can do anything.
They're
this is a
impeding
natural
rescue
thing.
because
There we go.
people
Okay.
are like walking up to like close places that you
Right.
shouldn't go, and so you're causing
Or even
rescues
becoming
to
a
be
risk
required,
yourself.
and so they're finding people near there on the Big Island, and I kind of think they should.
I have to imagine too. There's probably fear of looting and stuff like that too, right? I mean, if there's a lot of homes that are not damaged yet, but the people can't be anywhere near.
Yeah.
So you get looky-loos and I'm just taking pictures, but who knows what people are doing.
I imagine that place is a nightmare right now. I
so
am
unfortunate,
so
so
upset
sad.
about it because they're such good people that I've met through there, and
I agree with all of that. The only thing I'll say that gives me some, it's not relief, but maybe some understanding is that what's going on right now is natural.
yeah,
It's not like a plane crash there or a different country bombed there or something like that. It is a natural thing that they've been dealing with, forever, because it wouldn't have been there otherwise. I mean, literally,
Right.
it's above the water because of this event.
right.
So it's hard to be angry at it. I think they're doing the best they can. But fuck, it can't be easy. My heart goes out to them. Everybody in Hawaii, especially on the Big Island. Yeah.
Agreed.
And all our friends who live there.
I know. It makes me so sad. It's like it's the worst kind of natural disaster that I don't know anything about that hits close to home in a weird way.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
All right, next one.
similarly,
Ah!
to segue.
Great.
Not really. New York State is offering medical marijuana as an opioid alternative.
You're kidding. To get people off of opiates.
Yeah,
This is
which
fabulous. This is a wonderful
amazing.
idea.
I didn't read so much into it. I know if it
Is this
actually
New York
happened.
State? Who is doing this?
It was a local New York City paper, so it might still be local to but I don't know how they can do that. And I think
Well, I want to be
the whole
clear if it's
state.
some organization in New York is trying to do this, or
No,
New York State
New
is
York
doing
State.
this.
The article I read said New York State is basically like if you have a prescription for an opioid and you go to a medical marijuana dealership, they're like, "Here you go, enjoy, take
Wow.
it." Yeah.
Well, again, we're going natural over synthetic, and
Yeah.
I'm a fan. And I'm a guy who never. We should say this again. We talk about it all the time on the show. I never smoked pot. I tried it like everybody. I tried it a couple times. It just never agreed with me. I didn't get it. It wasn't my thing. But meanwhile, all my friends growing up did. I was the driver who was, the sober one. I didn't drink either, so I was Mr. Straight Edge, and I was also the best driver out of everybody.
Of course.
So I would just be the guy, and I liked to drive, so I liked that role. Everything was great for me. I was fine without pot in my life. You move out here, people smoke pot, you don't care. It's kind of not really a thing. Then when you got sick, that's when everything
game changer.
changed. Yeah. And, we started watching the videos and you see the people and like, oh, the guy with Parkinson's all of a sudden stopped shaking and he can talk. We've all seen it. It's on Vice. Go look it up if you haven't. There's a million just like it. And guess what? Then we saw the results in person. And watching you after a little dab of that oil is it's remarkable. So, and you don't smoke it, but you vape it. You put it in a thing, and it's everything but the smoke and the tar and whatever, I guess.
I treat it properly medicinally, and then I work it through my body. I feel it, so it's like it's an active process. But
You treat it as medicine, though. You don't just, hey, what's up?
I'm
How's
not
it going?
just like, let's get high, which is super great. Everyone should do it. But I understand the physical effects it has, and so to know that that's an option for people suffering from chronic pain that are taking pills that are really fucking with their systems in their head and their perspective on any whatever. That made me so happy that even if it's a small movement right now, that it's getting some traction. Where like if you have a prescription from a doctor for an opioid, you can walk into a medical marijuana place.
That really is something.
That's incredible.
If this works, I think that for sure it will be followed in other states.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're just trying. I mean, I can't believe it's not happening here already. If this idea is already going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of red tape people are getting through, but smaller groups with the FU are like,
Smaller groups with the FU.
Yeah, I said it.
Good.
Yeah, FU money.
Now I see your point. Smaller groups with the FU money.
Yeah, like privatized, like this works for me. This is what I want to see happen for my friends.
Now I see what you're saying.
And then it spurns
large amounts of money just coming from smaller places, not corporations. So
yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. And my last one, a huge high five to the Midwest in Indiana.
Oh, hang on.
For a multitude of reasons.
I already know one of them. It's got to be with the positive way you're speaking with. Are you talking about Sergeant Stephen Wheels?
Yeah.
Of the Indiana State Police?
Yeah.
A man who should be saluted by drivers everywhere?
Saluted.
He's receiving praise already. Do you guys know what we're talking about?
Ah!
Indiana State Police Sergeant Stephen Wheels, I believe it's Wheels, Wheeles.
I didn't look because that's hilarious.
Pulled over and cited a vehicle for going too slow in the left-hand lane.
Yes!
And posted about it, and he is look, these guys are everyone here is doing this.
Yeah.
Keep right except to pass people. What is the deal? Why is that so hard to understand? Why is it not better for everybody? It's greater good. When it comes to the freeway, it's greater good. Everyone who's out to get there themselves, you're fucking it up for yourself and everybody else.
It's a
greater
transportation
good.
system.
It's
period.
greater good. It is. When it comes to freeway, it's like water in pipes. You got to work together or it don't work. Woo!
Yeah.
Boy, soapbox. Man, sorry about that.
Wow. Yeah, but
Now,
apparently
onto your story.
20 people. No, like that's the thing, and I was so taken with it, and I'm like happy that it's the Midwest because Dave was from there, and I love him. But like 20 cars were piled up behind her, and it was in a 70-mile-an-hour zone.
Yeah.
Like,
Agreed.
GTFO.
Agreed. GTFO. I love that. That would be get out of here, right?
Yep.
Well, staying in the or did you have more for Indiana?
That's the end of my.
Well, strangely enough, also in Indiana, an Indiana woman dragged a nail salon attendant with her car. Yeah, she was unsatisfied with her nail job, $30 nail job, didn't want to pay, and she was not willing to accept the free redo. So the police were called. She attempted to leave, and then she was driving slowly to a restaurant down the street, a nearby restaurant, I believe it said, but proceeded to bring the nail guy at least across the parking lot, according to the video. She had a story when the police arrived, and it didn't sound so bad, and then they were like, yeah, great, let's go to the videotape. Little Warner Wolf action. Oh. And then it was a little bit worse, but it was just one of those, like, what the nailed it.
Oh,
you know?
That's bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that you can get on Yelp. I was looking for a nail salon, and there was a shitty Yelp review, and I'm like, okay, but now I know there's also great Yelp reviews. You don't have to hurt anybody.
Oh, nice. I see your point. All right, well, I had Seth MacFarlane and Stephen Wills. The last thing is the Gotti movie. Are you familiar with the Gotti movie?
I saw a little bit about it, and I'm not super familiar.
Supposed to be John Travolta's, well, it is John Travolta's would-be swan song. Apparently, it's not very good. It has a 0% Rotten Tomatoes, and it's been that way for about a week now. So that means it must be real, because otherwise someone would go in just to upset the 0%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's unheard of.
Well, yeah, and today, apparently, or maybe this was yesterday, but they're talking about it today, whatever the publicity company, whoever is marketing this movie, put out a new campaign where they're saying, audiences loved it, critics put out the hit, and now they're turning on the media, saying like,
yeah,
something was just uttered outside of here that I'm not going to repeat, but I feel like most people probably think the same. No, only because we don't get political. You can say anything you want. We're not airing our politics out. But we encourage other people to, by all means, whatever you want. It's a weird thing, though, isn't it? It's not misdirection. It's
blatant lying from what I can gather.
Well, not really. I mean, they're saying audiences loved it, and I'm assuming there must be some people they pulled at the end outside of the theater. You know what I mean? They have to have something, or they should have something, I should say. Maybe they don't have to have something.
I don't know. It's all nebulous, having lived in it for as long as I have.
Well, either way, from what we've heard and
Nuts.
from the rest of these stories, I don't know. I might want to see it now.
I hope we do. I saw a photo of him dressed like whoever he's
Like John
playing,
Gotti,
like
yeah.
John Gotti, and it
He looks good.
jarring.
He looks like Robert Shapiro to me.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? It's not dissimilar with the whole thing. For me, this goes back to East Coast Feed and Steve Kaz, who grew up in Queens, right on the same block, like around the corner from the Hunt and Fish Club, which was a hangout of those fellas.
Oh my.
You've seen like Goodfellas and stuff like that. Yeah, it's been covered.
Well,
anyway, yeah.
There we go.
Hey, and that has been What's Going On?
Going on. Da-dun, 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 da-dun.
All right, let's do this video, and then we'll take a break and bring
Sure.
Marco in. All right, so the other day, well, first of all, we booked Marco to come back on. Thank you for that, Marco. And in the meantime, we asked if we could come by his shop and spend a little bit of time, just to visit. We had never been, and we shot some video. We actually went a couple times that week, but here we go. Roll it, Hal.
Well, I think we need a flood.
It's got some Professor Patina on it. Your lighting is better in this shop than any I've been to. just what twin. What are we doing? There you go.
That was a really good video.
Aww.
And it's such a cool shop, and I love seeing everyone teaching and learning.
I should say, I'm thrown to that real quick. I should mention that in the middle, we went there about 3 or 4 times because on the first trip, you drove our car because we just had a clutch issue. A lot of that work was done to our car, too. We should mention that. New clutch and slave and a whole bunch of other stuff. So thank you for that. But more on the lines of, what a neat place.
Yeah.
It's like magic happens there.
Magic happens there, and it's like, I don't know, when I was a kid, car garages were like dirty and grimy and places that you wouldn't go. And now, like, for ladies, like, it's like a shoe store. There's beautiful, and maybe not like as like, they don't give you champagne, but like, there's outside, it's like, it's beautiful. It's like a rainbow Skittles of cars and beautiful things.
All of the above. Good job, Mrs. Ryan. All right, let's take a break. Okay. And when we come back, Marco Gerace from TLG will be here. More after this.
All right, so then I don't need this. But I don't need it. So. Checking the IG.
It's on your phone, so
Good? Oh, nice. I'm just going to come back then. We're back.
Oh, shit, we're back.
We're actually here.
I'm here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are here with Marco Gerace from TLG. You may recognize him from that video we just watched.
Don't do it.
You don't
I
need to
tried.
do it.
I know. It's just,
You
I tried.
project enough that it's not really.
Yeah.
It's more
Okay.
for people who can't find the mic or don't have the technique.
Oh, hi. How are you?
That's me.
It's good to see you.
Oh, I didn't
People
mean
that
to-
can't find the mic and have no technique.
I didn't
It's
mean to
right,
straight up,
right here.
Thing in front of you.
I did. Say
Right. I'm sure I'll talk to you like this, and he'll be like, "Yo, microphone's right next to you."
That's fine. That's fine. Do you, boo boo, or something?
You do you is the best thing that's ever been come
Yeah.
up with, I believe.
Yeah.
Good grief. There we go.
Agreed.
All right. How are my levels?
They're fantastic.
You sound fantastic. I can tell.
I'm ugly, but I got a good voice for this. That's great.
You did. We talked about it last time. You actually came up through radio at first.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. We talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I'm done with radio.
Really?
I'm over it.
All right. Well, you're
I
doing
mean,
a lot of podcasts lately. Just saying.
You know,
And we're appreciative.
I love talking to people, but like outside of my shop,
Yeah.
where I'm a guest and not the person who feels like he has to lead the conversation.
Yeah. So you're a good guest. Don't want to host.
I don't want to host.
Yeah.
I'm
In
not
the old
into
days,
it.
there were people who made like careers out of just being professional guests on Mike Douglas and Carson and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Merv.
I surf YouTube looking for Rodney Dangerfield guest appearances. 'Cause
Okay.
That man is ridiculously funny.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Have you found any good ones?
Every one
All
of
of them.
Carson, every visit he did to Carson is hilarious, especially when his jokes don't work. Because when they don't play is when he's the funniest. He's like,
Agreed.
oh, well, I guess that one's not going to work on my show. You know, and he like plays it off as though.
That's when the improv and the crowd work starts.
Exactly.
And you can actually see how his brain works. It's not prepared material.
And then as it unfolds, the audience comes around and they all of a sudden are in stitches.
Because you have to roll with it, right? He was Did you ever meet Rodney or ever see him
Never
live?
did. No.
I didn't know him by any means, but I met him a couple times at the Laugh Factory when I first moved out here. Just I was hanging out there a lot.
Really?
Yeah, not met him. I mean, like was in the same this proximity.
Still
listened to his
closer, I
stories.
just watched
Yeah.
Ladybugs.
I was fly on the wall, is what I should say. I mean, said hello and stuff, but not like I wasn't conversing with him. I was just there. But he was just. He was neat. It was crazy. It was
seemed like
Rodney
a pretty cool
Dangerfield.
dude.
And he was just in short, and this was the Hawaiian shirt and shorts days. This is not the the suit and the way back in the I get no respect. This is the my wife. It was more of that kind of stuff. But it was still neat because he was a legend.
He was amazing right to the end.
Yeah.
He was hilarious.
Man,
Another
that's
good
cool.
one is Don Rickles. A Rickles performance anywhere is.
You seen him live?
No, look.
Are you gonna?
Let's hope not.
You should.
He was on The Walking Dead last week.
Sat in that chair.
Did he really?
Sure.
Was it this one or was it this one?
Well, probably both. I mean, he probably had many appearances.
Well-
They were interchangeable. They used to switch it.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites all time. Was it Mr. Mr. Personality? I think it
Yeah,
was.
that's
Mr.
right. Hey,
Personality.
blockhead.
Exactly. And he could blast everybody
He
in
was
the room.
first. Yeah, he was the roast master. I
He
mean,
really was.
Jeffrey Ross is doing that job now. He has taken on that role. I think maybe that's why he shaves his head now.
No, I think it's because he's bald.
If so, he went bald in like a day.
Really?
Yeah, he used. I mean, he's got. Like, he used to have a big Jufro.
He used to
That's
have
what his
So did
self-proclaimed.
I.
Self-proclaimed.
So did I. I mean, I did too. In
But
all
you
the
still
way
have
through.
the scruff on the top.
Yeah, I mean, he just
sometimes.
buzzes
He's
the whole
just-
thing.
Yeah, I always said that I was
Clean.
going to beat it before it beat me. So
Yeah.
I started just cutting my hair off.
Oh.
Because it got so thin and just started to just run away from my
I have that,
eyebrows
yeah.
that like
Yeah, I have that.
I quit.
That happened too, by the way, because like a year ago, I had a full head of hair.
Uh-huh.
Stress,
It happens
man.
Quick. It happens real fast. Real
Yeah.
fast.
It was like I was going to do the Rogan. Actually, I did do it for a little bit and got on, and I was just like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?" Like it was really the first couple months when it probably doesn't even work it, and it was just like, it makes your heart feel funny. Plus, she was falling apart, and it was like, "What the fuck am I doing?
It's
Worrying
very
about my
vain.
hair?"
Yeah, it's a very vain thing
Exactly.
to do, and I'm just not into vanity.
Yeah.
Like I have my faults.
I mean,
Don't get me wrong.
obviously. No, I'm
Believe
just
me. Yeah, no shit, right? Like, how do I look? I look better in a uniform. But just generally speaking, like, I'm just not into, like, the vanity thing. If,
Yeah.
like, jeans and a T-shirt, like, I'm good.
Yeah, just same here. Comfort and
You
utility.
spend your energy showing your creativity in other ways. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's a really good
Appreciate
point.
So thanks.
And a nice outlook.
But I can't paint. I can't
Nice
paint. I
outlook.
can't draw. I can't play music.
It's weird because you are
So?
an artist when it
I'm just
comes to
saying,
the stuff you do with those cars, though.
That was always,
Yeah.
literally, I've said that many times. That's my outlet.
Really?
Yeah, I used to be more into project stuff. Like when my dad was around, we would really find a way to split the time between project cars and service work. But the service work is just far outpaced project work. I enjoy it more. I enjoy the immediacy of.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoy service work far more than project work. Projects are fun, and we do a couple a year.
Sorry, I was
okay.
fixing that camera. That's surprising to me.
Well, we do a couple a year. We do, anywhere from 2 to 4 a year, right?
Projects or
projects?
Okay.
Projects, not motors.
But that's
motors.
not few either. I mean, when you say we don't really do them,
Well,
2
we
to
take
4,
them.
that's a lot.
We take them apart, and they go off to the body shop, and then they go into the process, right?
Okay.
And then that takes about a year or maybe a little longer, depending on what the situation is. And so then another one will start about 6 months in, and then that one will come apart and go off to the body shop, and then one will come back, and then you kind of stagger them.
They're not just all sitting in your shop.
No.
at
You
one
don't do them all
time.
at
I
once.
see.
That's suicide. That's how shit gets lost and interchanged, and people are unhappy. No.
So it's just a constant rotation, basically.
Yeah. Constantly
Assembly line.
in progress.
And those are restorations, right? The project
work,
cars.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a restoration, or it's a hot rod build, or it's
Custom.
something like that.
Okay.
But I don't dislike doing them, but I really prefer service work because of the immediacy of the whole thing, and like you get to see people smile when their shit works right.
Yeah.
Case in point, you
Yeah.
know,
Big
like
time.
you guys were in a bind, and it's your daily driver, and so
The timing of that all worked out so
Yeah.
incredibly that I'm still grateful, of course, to you and the universe, but I still kind of can't believe it because it didn't really make sense. We had an issue like the day that it was an
Yeah.
odd thing.
it worked out well. The universe
And you were
does
like,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah, and all right, so we should do this, and we'll get you in a week and a half, and
Right.
it's like that's amazing, fabulous. You said you could drive it in the meantime, no problem, and then it's like 2 days later, the job was done.
Yeah, well,
We had
we
the
had
car
an opening.
back; it was already done.
We had an opening in the schedule, and it's your daily driver. So like in my shop, we are always full. We always have cars. We're always busy. Great
That
fun.
video showed it because that's 3 or 4 different days there, and it was
Yeah,
always packed.
I'm grateful that we have that, but certain things as they get done or a hole opens up in the schedule. I've had a client just the other day who's scheduled and canceled on me 4 times. Now, that's fine. That's why we schedule in advance, right? So
Yeah.
because people's schedules are moving targets, and I get that coming from South Pasadena can be a hassle.
Sure.
I get it. So in this particular case, we had someone scheduled and they canceled, and so we had an opening, and I knew you guys had a car that's your only car that you use to get everywhere you got to go.
Yeah.
And in LA, we don't have the subway.
Right.
Right? I mean, we do, but it sucks.
Not really.
It's going nowhere we want to go.
No.
So, you need to get groceries. You got to have a car to do it. So, like, we always put the emphasis on the daily driver stuff. It always takes priority in the shop. I'll put aside a project to work on a daily driver every day, all the time,
Really?
constantly. Yeah.
It's like your pro bono work. Like, we'll just make sure that one gets to the front of the list.
No, it's not. It's not pro bono. Don't get me wrong.
No, I didn't mean literally. I just meant like
sounded-
it's your. Yeah, that was a poor choice of words.
Yeah, no, but it's
in a service industry.
Look, we are a service shop, right? Like people need their cars to get to work, right? I know what a hassle it is to have to rent a car. So, it's expensive and it sucks,
Yeah, it's just a
and
pain
it's
in the
not
ass.
your car. So, we always make daily drivers.
We just want to say thank you
priority.
because not every shop is like that. And so that's what you get the smiles for, because it's like we've had a couple weird experiences lately where like I'm problematic at best most times. And so things would come up and like my of course immediate go-to is like shut down and like be a child. But like you guys, there's different energies of people, and like we've just been really lucky to meet awesome people that have that mentality of like, this is important, like you need to get taken care of, like you're important, and
Yeah.
just really thank you for having the perspective that you do for that.
Well, I don't do it for you. I do it for me. Let's be honest. here.
Great.
It's all about
Better.
how I feel.
Great.
It has nothing to do with you people.
Good.
So I'm really glad you're saying
Yeah.
this. I'm really glad you're saying this. This speaks a lot to your character, though. Please finish the thought.
No, I'm joking. I'm really joking. Like I enjoy making people smile. So I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but like I'm in the happiness game, right? Like I do a non-essential job on non-essential vehicles. I really do. Let's be honest. People could drive a Honda and get the same experience, right? They could drive to wherever they have to. No. What I mean is like it's utility at that point, right? And so you don't need a Porsche, but you can have one, so you do, right? And it should be fun. It should be a good experience, and
you want it to be.
And
you would like it to be.
I could be working on Chevy pickups. I could be working on diesel trucks. I could be like Porsche is a luxury item. I do a luxury thing, so I'm a non-essential worker, and like. I'm in the smiles game. That's it. Like, it's about me making people happy and like.
We say that all the time, collecting smiles.
That's what you say.
When we drive around. I mean, it's one of those things. You almost we were driving back from. I think we were out with you on Sunday, and then we went to Malibu or something. We were driving back, and then the father and the kid in the big giant SUV. They pulled up next to us. We just done Mulholland or whatever, and they were behind us the whole way. And it was traffic, so it's not like there was no racing or anything going around. This was just people who were following the car. Pulled up next to us, said, "Man, you must just get people smile. You must make everybody's day wherever you go." And I was like, what's he talking about? We're smiling and waving back, and he's just like, you just want to smile when you look at that thing.
That's cool, man.
And I was like, yep, that's the point. And you're doing good just by driving around with that mentality. You know what I mean? Like, it's the awareness of it. It's just the awareness of it.
It's different than a brand new Lamborghini or Ferrari. It's a totally different vibe.
Yeah,
and because a 911 is attainable.
I truly believe it's the whole package, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all about the energy and all that stuff too.
Yeah, I just think there's more pretension that goes along with like the supercar.
Or how about one that's nice, new, and polished, and ours is just like, we don't take it too seriously. We wash it when we wash it, and we drive it all the time.
But it's an attainable thing.
A 911 will smile back at you.
Yeah, a 911 will smile back at you.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. So
it's attainable. It looks
attainable.
That's
Hi,
George.
But during the break, Marco was trying to get George to come in and sit in guest chair number 2 over there, but he was unsuccessful.
Marco's doing my bidding. George is going to go on a walkabout for a while, and I'm trying to collect as much time with him as I can.
I was going to say, if it was a barber chair, he definitely wouldn't sit in it.
No way. No, he'd run out of here. Long hair.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
The best.
Do you were very nice and put out the ask on social media for, does anybody have any questions for Marco at TLG? Do you want to do that stuff now? I've got a bunch here.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Or if you guys want to like ask me questions about like, or pick up where we left off, like that. Okay, so why am I back? Because I don't think we touched on everything last time. Like,
no,
I think there was a lot of like we
should have said this.
Going.
We should have said that.
Yeah, I just feel like there was a lot left to go.
Well, you're also our friend, so I mean, it's easy to converse with you. I'm not worried about things to talk about. It's just more like, what do you want to talk about first? We're not in a hurry.
I'm not here to like plug anything or whatever.
Great.
I made sure the address and phone number were in the video for TLG Auto.
And I appreciate that. Yeah. By the way, that was a really good video. It was long.
It was long. It was very long. Very long.
A little different for the interlude or whatever, but no, it was cool. You made the shop look better than it is. So thanks. Appreciate that.
I don't think so. That's how I saw it. And that's one of the reasons it is the way it is. I mean, our videos are always long, and they're almost a little bit too long. And it's like, I don't care, because it captures. If it was shorter, you wouldn't get it. It's almost, you have to almost be immersed in it. And by the way, this is anti everything about the internet and how social everything these days. So I'm aware of that.
Disposable or whatever.
Yeah, everything needs to be short, quick, really, fast cuts and stuff. I don't know if you can tell or not, we're not exactly playing to the norms of the internet, what with this video podcast talk show in our dining room.
Blaze your own trail, man.
Yeah.
It's all going to come around. It's all about the story. George.
Just every once in a while, just look over there and go, George.
I mean.
I would like to, one of the things that I wanted to make sure was in that video, because when we were at your shop, we asked about it and you told us the story, so I wanted to make sure it was captured. Would you tell us, or how much can you tell us about, because I know it might be a little, how much can you tell us about the hidden Mickey in your shop?
Oh, okay. I can tell you a lot about that.
Okay.
I can tell you the whole story.
There was one point when Mrs. Ryan went through a door, she pushed a door open, and there was like a tape outline of like a Mickey Mouse.
All right, so the story goes back to like the 80s, right? Like we moved into that building that we're in now, the shop, as you know it, in 1987 or 88. Now, I was only 7 or 8 years old, so I don't really remember exactly, and my dad couldn't even remember either. Okay, but when we moved into that building, it was one long building from the cinder block wall at the far end of my shop through that door. There was no door there. It was just this big open building, like a giant warehouse that went through to the end of the property.
Just a long gauntlet,
Just a
right?
long, massive thing. And part of the deal for my dad to move in was he and his friends would subdivide the building. And they would put up those big walls, and they would make them multiple spaces.
Portion it up, basically, or push it out. Okay.
Correct. They didn't put any of the roll-up doors in. None of the portals were changed. Nothing was added. The structural bones were there. Just the walls in the middle, right? And I mean, it was on 1 meter, one electrical meter.
Oh no!
Until like
Whoa.
2 years ago.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
So
so
you guys
I
had
would
to
have to
split it
go
up?
collect electrical
Stop.
bills from everybody in the freaking place, right?
Wow.
All right, so
That's awesome.
What a grind.
not really.
What year is it?
Okay, so essentially, my dad moved in with his buddies, and they divided the building, right? And so we had our side, then there was the wall with the door, and then there was another shop where my dad's friend was, and he was there for about a year or so. And then there was another wall, and then another walk-through door, and another shop which did Datsuns and Z cars and stuff like that. And
Did like souped them up?
Nissan, yeah, they were a Nissan hot rod shop.
Oh, cool.
Right? It was called Ed's Place. And I
Okay.
don't remember Ed's last name, but he was nuts. This guy was fucking crazy. So it was Crazy Ed in the back, and then there was my dad's buddy who was just kind of there for a little while. He was in the movie industry. I want to say he was a rigger or something like that. Or, you know, like a gaffer or something to that effect. And then
What did
and
he
then,
use the space for?
I don't think storage.
Storing
Just
equipment-
storage
equipment
of
and
stuff. But he was only there for a year.
Okay.
After he left, another shop moved in, and they did 356s and Spiders and RSKs, RS61s, 550s, 4-cam stuff, and 4-cylinder stuff. Only Porsche.
Okay.
Okay, so it was us in the front, Porsche in the middle, and then Nissan in the back.
Crazy Eddie.
Crazy Ed. Yeah, exactly. Crazy Eddie. It wasn't Eddie. It was
His prices
Ed. It
are
was Crazy Ed.
insane.
All right. So after, I don't know how many years, the shop in the middle kind of rolled up and left. And my dad knew a guy who was looking for a place, and that guy moved in. That guy's name was Ralph. And he had been around Porsches since the early to mid-'70s, buying up speedsters.
Ralph doesn't have an adjective or a qualifier yet?
He will.
Okay,
He will.
got
okay.
it.
So Ralph, the thing about Ralph, he was one of those guys where when the Penny Saver or the classified ads would come out on Sunday, he would be with another guy I know, and they would be at the printer, and they would snatch him right off the top, open him up, run to the phone booth, and start calling the people in the back who were selling speedsters and 356s and whatever, Porsche. And it would literally be a race to these people's houses to buy them and collect them, right? Good cars, bad cars, didn't matter, cars.
Kind of neat.
Right. So anyway, this Ralph was from Hollywood, and he was fat, and his nickname was Fat Ralph from Hollywood. All right. And so Fat
There you
Ralph
have it.
from Hollywood was a crazy fucker. And so he was in this middle shop for a lot of years. And he and my father had a decent relationship, and I knew Ralph, and I had a decent relationship with him. But as he got older and my father got older, they kind of parted ways because Ralph, his health was not good. He surrounded himself with people that were not healthy people.
Okay.
The lower life forms, right? And so we
Right.
distanced ourselves, but the door remained open between the shops, and we collected the electrical bill from him, and he was on time every month with the electrical bill, but that was about all the rent that was about all the things that were on time
Gotcha.
every month.
Because you were just on the other side of the door. He had to face you.
Yeah, exactly. And we had the bathroom in our side of the shop. There was no bathroom over there.
Right.
So anyway, over time, the relationship kind of broke down, and my dad was lending space in our shop to his buddy who was a painter, and he was doing paint and body work, kind of in half the shop. And
Car painter? Like
yeah.
Okay.
Like he would do body work and paint. Like my car was painted there without a spray booth.
The white car?
My 914 and the 911 were
No
both painted
kidding.
like with no spray booth in 1990 or something like that.
Jeez.
No, it was 90. It was 1995 or 96. So anyway, Ralph he was a weirdo, right? And so the painter called him Mickey Mouse. He's like, this guy's a Mickey Mouse motherfucker. And so one day he just took some painter's tape and made the Mickey on the door. And that was in 1997 or 8. So that's been there for 20 years.
20 plus years.
Of course, it's the
It's-
first thing I ask about when I walk into the shop. What's with the hidden Mickey over there?
So it's a long story, but what's really neat, I think, aside from the fact that there's the Mickey Mouse on the door that reminds me of Ralph, is the shop next door has been a Porsche shop since almost the day the wall was put up.
That's
So
really
so it
neat.
has as much history as our
As you
side,
guys,
as
yeah.
our building does.
Yeah.
You know, as our unit has. But again, it was our shop that, like, it was my dad who kind of made the deal work and then put the walls up
Yeah.
and like did all the things. So it's kind of neat, you know. There's a lot of like cars that you see in museums that I sat and played in as a kid.
so cool.
Which
That's
is
the coolest.
very similar to like Rod, you know, because he was surrounded by that really early old stuff and he was immersed in it because of his dad and because
Yeah.
of, you know, his own likes and stuff like that. And so was I. I was just a little bit younger, so the cars were worth a little bit more when I was playing with them.
yeah.
You know, but I would go over there and there'd be like a spider hanging from the ceiling, you know, because the motor was out of it and they were working on the bottom or whatever. And so they would just chain hoist it, you know, so it's like asses in the air. It's pretty cool
crazy.
stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty neat stuff.
We should actually talk about that because the baby blue speedster that was in the video there,
Oh, so pretty.
Rod actually built. Is that? Do we have that right, or he worked
so,
on it?
So, to the best of my knowledge, he would know, of course.
Sure.
But okay, so you know there's those pictures of Period Correct, the clothing store in Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
That used to be his dad's shop,
Yeah,
Parts
I took-
Obsolete.
Yeah.
Rod built that blue speedster in the back of Parts Obsolete, which is now Period Correct.
Right.
Then after he had built that car, it was sold to somebody, I want to say back east, and then it was bought by Seinfeld. And then Seinfeld had it for a while, and then he sold it to somebody in Texas who my client bought it from.
Wow.
And so the car has come kind
Storied
of around.
history. Yeah, all the way around.
It's a really
Exactly.
neat history. There's a lot
Anyway.
of fun people in there.
Yeah, and so now the car is going to see some stuff at my place, and I'm going to give it to Rod so he can kind of go over it again because, number one, nobody would know it better than him because he built the whole car. So as a courtesy to the owner, I contacted
Opened it up,
Rod
yeah.
and I said, "Would you be interested?" And he's like, "Absolutely."
I saw
So-
that a little bit of that correspondence, and then he came over later that day,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
so cool. Like,
Yeah.
it must have been so neat for
Yeah.
him to see a kid you helped deliver. You know what I mean?
He was pumped when
Yeah.
he saw it.
He loves that stuff. I mean, he told us about a different car. I forget, but like watching his face change when he was like, and then it showed up again. Like he
Yeah.
really means a lot to him, and like that transfers. It shows in what he does, what you do, whatever. But like that energy
That's your art,
transfers
man.
when you're telling the story. It's really cool to know about it.
I'm a little different. I don't mind seeing cars I've worked on before. Like, I like that.
But you don't
I
care.
don't ever want to see cars I've owned. If I own them and sell them, I never want to see them again.
Yeah.
What's the reason? Because you might have the attachment, or just rather just keep it out? What's the?
Yeah, I just like I'm done with it. I don't need it back. I don't need like I've reached a point where I have concluded my relationship with that vehicle, and it's time to move on. The only exception.
I
to that-
agree, but I wouldn't bother me if I saw one.
Well, I
someplace.
just
Be
don't
like,
want
oh,
it.
look
I
at
just-
this. Here's,
Yeah,
look what you've done.
I don't like answering questions about
Oh,
stuff.
because you're you, it changes the whole. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what did the windshield wipers work when you had it,
I
or
don't
like
remember.
all that crap?
I don't remember.
Right.
I don't want to talk about it. But like if I saw
Did
my
the
old
oil
blue
line?
car,
Did you do the oil lines, or who did the?
If I saw my old blue car, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to see it again. But
That's interesting.
My 914, I sold and bought back. So obviously that was okay.
That kind of screws up your rule.
Yeah, but that one's got
that was
sentimentality.
the first one. That was the first car, and
Pre-rule.
That was my first Porsche ever.
But it was
that I-
also built with your dad's 911 at the time. Like
Yeah.
those were. I remember that story. There was
Exactly.
a tandem build,
Right.
or at
And-
least sequential.
And the only other car I'd probably want to at least maybe see again is my yellow 74 that I had.
Yellow car.
My yellow car. Yeah.
So did you see your plate
I
back
did.
there?
I did.
Where's
I saw
you?
it.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
We were at breakfast and someone had a 74 and someone was like, that's the worst year.
I'm going to try to do this while we're here, but you guys keep talking.
So I had
Yeah.
to say that, and I don't know anything about it, and I loved that car, so I have no idea if that's true. But every
No,
time I hear
I-
that year, I'm like, where's
My
yours?
74 was great. I mean, it was
Can I? Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, it was a little beat up around the edges, but I mean, it had a really good story behind it, and it was just one of those cars, one of the best driving cars I ever drove. Yeah.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
that car.
And then the front plate from that car is on the shelf behind you right
Yay!
now. Can we, just because it's a little bit tied in, can we talk about this picture right here?
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. I mentioned that.
You did, and someone who watched the show sent this picture in because they were at the restaurant and tracked it down. This is also his old plate that
Oh,
you
cool.
physically screwed into that beam, right?
Yes, I put that up at the Blue Dog in Sherman Oaks. So the upper right corner, see that little like circle? That was my horrible, shitty initials to like.
Oh
the guy's
my
like,
gosh,
put
you
your signature
signed
on
it.
it, and so he gave me this pen. And the problem was, it doesn't write well on a plate.
Right.
Like it's not meant to be written on, and so it was really shitty, and it like didn't work well.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
So funny.
but yeah, that plate's still up there.
All right, so you want to see the yellow car again?
I do. That's the only car I really miss. Like, and I miss it because we had a lot of time together.
Do you know
me
where
and
it
that
is? Have you tried to ever look for it?
I sent it north, so it's either Northern California, Oregon, or Washington, but it's somewhere
But
north.
these days, who knows?
Well, I sold it to a guy and told him if I were you, I wouldn't rebuild this car. I'd leave it the way it is, maybe throw some paint on it, but I wouldn't take it apart and put it back.
Aw.
No, he goes, oh, I think I'm going to restore it. If it's restored, I don't want to see it again.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's a different car.
It's not my car anymore.
No.
Right.
But like I sold it because my mom had gotten cancer and my dad had lent me some money like when I was buying my house, and he lent me a couple grand, and I was like, all right, if you ever want the money back, you know, I'm happy to sell my car and give you the money back. Or if you can wait, I'll make you payments. And he's like, nah, don't worry about it. Just if I ask you for the money, we'll deal with it then. So a year later, or a year and a half later, he's like, I need the money. And I'm like, okay, I'll sell my car.
That was
because
the
I
deal,
hadn't
yeah.
been making payments or whatever.
Right.
And so I sold my car to pay back my father. But I pulled the motor and trans out, and I sold it with a rebuilt original gearbox that went with that car. So it wasn't matching numbers when I got it, but the original gearbox was with the car.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I kept my special seats, but I put some seats in it, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it had the 7s and 8s. It had the turbo brakes. I mean, it had all the good shit on it.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was it was a badass car. I raced that car a lot, drove it
It
across the
looks it.
country.
I love the story behind
I
it.
love
Now
the story.
now I feel like we should make it a quest to find this car
Find it.
for you.
I don't even remember the VIN. Like there's
That may make it a little more difficult.
yeah. There are certain cars I remember. Like I remember the VIN on my '75 car, my white car.
I'm in the same boat with the 951 I used to have. I would love to know where it is, but I can't find it.
No,
I don't even know how you would do that. Tax records through
no, you can
years
just search
ago, like
Google.
Goo-
Google the shit out of it.
But how would I don't know what the VIN is.
Well, you need the VIN.
That's my point. I don't
Yeah.
have it. I don't even know it. That's my point.
okay.
I can't find that car for that reason.
Right. I mean, I could probably find, unless I deleted it. If I didn't delete it from my shop system, I probably have the VIN number.
So,
'Cause I
but
see-
if you don't have the VIN number, it's just hard to find cars.
yeah,
Basically, like
it can be
almost
hard, but
impossible.
anything can be found.
Okay.
Anything can be found.
Well, a friend of
Nothing
mine's-
is gone forever.
Okay, a friend of mine's dad had Cheryl's dad has a really cool car, and she's like, I have no idea where the VIN number would be.
I posted
So-
that car before. It was an old 911 in whatever the pastel yellow, the really pale yellow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Light
know
yellow.
what year. Is that it? Just light yellow?
That's what my yellow car was, light yellow.
Oh, no kidding.
And
So maybe
it's
it was
a
that.
pastel, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be it.
Real soft, bright but soft.
That's it.
Yeah, that
This
was
was
it.
a 911, but it had Steelies on it, and it was it was neat. It was your dad's car. And this picture, there's Beetle and a pop up in the back. There's all these
Oh,
crazy
bitchin'.
cool on this street in Santa Monica from the 70s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably the 70s. She's one of those born in Santa Monica and lived there her whole life down
Oh,
the street
wow.
from her family and went to UCLA. So they have a ton of that side of California history that I didn't know anything about. But
Right.
once we started talking about the cars and stuff, she was like, "Oh yeah, my dad was super into that stuff."
Southern California, I mean, if you're not into cars, what are you into? I mean,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
not like saying that there's nothing else here, but
Oh, it's that or
it's
the
kind of
movie
hard
business.
to avoid that culture,
You're doing something different if you are, and it's not.
That's-
But you need cars to get places. You spend so much time in your car in LA that most people are kind of car people. you
Whether they know it or not.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
That's
interesting.
all. That's my approach to it, at least.
Good job.
Hey,
Good job, Margot. That's so nice.
2 thumbs.
I want to know how you guys know each other.
George?
Yeah.
Man, I sold him a car, and every time I go to his shop, it's like seeing an old girlfriend you're still in love with.
Is that true?
That's not how we met. That's not how we met. I don't remember how you found me.
I was at the body shop across the alley getting a GT3 repaired, and I looked
Oh,
over and saw
right.
this place with all these cool cars. I was like, I gotta go over there and see what's going on.
Oh,
That's funny.
Wow.
wow.
Yeah,
Well, that body shop's gone.
And who's still there?
Yeah, well,
there you go.
going on 30-something years in that building.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I met George. That's actually right.
It's hilarious.
So how long ago was that?
Gosh, I don't know.
5 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
No
that's
kidding.
all. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah. Something
it's like 4 or 5 years.
You guys do make it seem like, no, we grew up here in LA together. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird. You guys just seem like.
Well, when you hang out with people and drink with them, then
Yeah,
you
that's
tend,
true.
you tend to get to know them pretty well.
The bond
Yeah.
grows strong fast. Yeah.
And let me tell you about the tequila.
Man, if we
so-
met you a couple
More
years
coffee
earlier.
at the racetrack. Right?
We did that too. But we went racing together for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Two-
so
2
that's
or 3
another
years.
thing that you bond over that too.
Like we went almost every event. Yeah. It
Was
was
like
like
POC
Wow.
stuff or.
we went with the POC for like 2 years straight.
Solid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It was
Do you guys
fun.
do you guys still go out at all? I know
Well-
you have a car in there that doesn't go out too often.
No, it's in deep storage. His car. My car.
But you
My-
cart a lot too. Sorry to.
No, it's fine.
I mean, to answer your original question, we've all of us here have been part of that Porsche culture for a long time, and it's just easy to make friends in that group.
Agreed.
We
Yeah.
share a common
Yeah.
passion.
That's true.
And then you drink together.
I'm telling you, if we met you guys a couple years prior, I'll tell
Yeah.
you, we would have turned it up.
Well, the funny thing is, I actually don't drink much anymore, and neither does George, and you guys don't. But the funny thing is that when we would go to an R Group event, because George has the first R Group car, like he owns
What?
the white car,
Yeah.
the white 911
Are you
is R
serious?
Group car #1. Yeah, that's why
No,
it's
it's
on that
right.
banner.
You should sit over there until you go on your walkabout.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you do, don't come and join us.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's
I didn't even
amazing.
know what the R group was. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
when he bought it, he had no clue.
Wow.
He had no clue.
Hilarious.
But so when we would go to an R Group event, we would sit in the parking lot as you want to do at those things, and drink and talk and relax and
Yeah.
tell stupid stories,
Hang
and
out.
get to know one
Make
another.
fun of everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Totally.
And then they make fun of you. I mean, that's
Absolutely. Everyone
literally how it
everyone
goes.
does their
Name of the
part.
game.
Everyone does their part.
Yeah. So that's how George and I got to know each other pretty well.
Wow, that's so cool. Do you cart at all?
I love to go kart race, but I
don't have the
don't
time
because
for
it's not conducive to my schedule.
Yeah.
You asked about my race car. Much the same is I took my race car apart at the last event I did was right after my dad died, and I was with Vera. I was out at Big Willow, and some knucklehead in a
With who?
Datsun. Vera, Vintage Auto Racing
Oh,
Association.
okay.
Vera.
I thought you said Farah, and I thought maybe Matt Farah. I just wanted to clarify.
No. So I was out there with Vera, and they had me in the GTU class. I don't know if I told you this story.
Okay.
The GTU is 3 liter and under, and the class is mostly slow cars, like 914s, 911s. This is a Jaguar. They're fucking slow.
Cool.
And I belong in the GTO class, right? Even if my motor is a 3 liter, it doesn't matter. The
Right.
car, I was consistently 10 to 15 seconds a lap faster than
10 to 15 seconds.
a lap
Yeah, no, I got it.
than the rest of the field. There were 3 of us. There was a guy in a Formula
No,
car.
I agree. There's a math problem.
Yeah, there was 3 of us in front. There was the guy who was in a straight like Renault tube frame friggin' race car,
Yeah.
right? Which is from the 70s, and
Sure.
he was 3 seconds a lap faster than me and the next guy. And then there was a guy in a Lotus Elise a Lotus
Still, 3
Exige.
seconds you can be in the same run group at least.
But
you know?
this other guy who was faster than me was in a Lotus Exige, right? Which is the coupe Lotus Elise, right? And he was fucking fast.
Right.
And then there was me. And
So they're going straight on displacement. Is that how they make these
Yes.
groupings? Okay.
Yeah. And the problem was we lapped the field twice in a
Oh.
session. The whole field, we lapped it twice in a session.
What 20-minute session?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's
so,
crazy.
so we were crushing. I mean, we were crushing these people.
Feeling
and
good.
And it was, but yes,
Feeling
but there was
pumped.
no race. But there was no race,
No.
right? We were racing. 2 of us were racing, and then the third guy was so far out in front of us because his car was a Formula car. It didn't matter.
Right.
And so we were jockeying through traffic or whatever, and I got stuck behind some guy in a Datsun, and we're going up through turn 3, and this guy, he overpowered the tires. Fucking asshole.
Wow.
So basically, he didn't see me coming, and he turned across my nose. And rather than hit him in the passenger door, I kind of turned the wheel to the right, dropped my right front into the dirt, which...
Thinking you could hook around?
Well, no, hoping I didn't hit him in the door.
Okay.
And I just was looking for space, and I would bring it back. But the problem was the drop-off from the asphalt to the dirt was probably about that far, about an inch or 2.
Hang it
Probably
up.
about 2 inches. And then it was a downward slope like a ditch and then an upward berm. And once the car hit that, it sucked me down the slope and then up the berm, and it took the whole right front and pushed it up and in. And it bent the shot, it bent the strut, it bent the tub, bent the A-arm, bent everything. So I limped the car back to the pit, and I'm furiously angry.
Yes.
Right? It's technically my fault because I was the passing vehicle, even though I didn't do anything wrong. It was just kind of
because you're on the overtake? Is that
it
the
was.
idea?
I would have been the passing, but I wasn't trying to pass. I was just trying to set up for a pass, and he should have known I was there. But it was my fault. But there were no contacts, so there was no fault given.
Right.
I didn't receive a 13-13.
Right, no contact.
There was
Right,
no
interesting,
contact.
right.
The only damage was to my car, not his. So all the onus of repair is on me, right?
Yeah.
Which is, it's racing.
Yeah.
It is anyway. So I get into the pit, and I go to park my car in my pit, and there's a car just parked where my race car goes. Some spectator.
Oh, they just helped themselves into your bay?
Some spectator helped themselves to my pit. And so I pull in behind them, right? Because I have to load my trailer.
Not the moment for it either,
Right.
by the way.
And I'm furiously
Holy
angry that I can't
smokes.
park my car. My car has been bashed up. And I'm hooking up my trailer, and I'm backing up, and all of a sudden I hear people screaming, no, 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 no. And I look, and I thought I'd run somebody over.
Oh, my God. The guy backed into your car.
Yes, he did.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Why is no one aware of anything else?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So not only did he back into my car,
This
he
is
backed
fabulous
into
for you, though, isn't it?
I'm still mad about it. He backed into the left rear.
Oh, my God. You're kidding.
So my
I
car.
thought at least to be the same spot.
No, it got hit on opposite corners in the same day within an hour of each other.
Moments, sure.
And one of them could be construed as having been my fault. But one of them, I wasn't even fucking in the car, and this guy backed into my vehicle, and I was furiously angry. And then I got his license and his insurance, and he just vaporized. Like, he gave me the wrong stuff.
Are
like,
you serious?
Yeah, and I was so angry and frustrated and tired and whatever. So basically, I had to fix everything. So that was over a year ago. And in order to put the car on the Celette bench to tug it square, right, to tug the tub square, I had to disassemble the whole car.
take it apart, yeah.
So all the suspension was out. The car was on a dolly. It got fixed, and it got the suspension put back in it. But both bumpers are still off, front and rear. The left rear got repaired and painted. And I pulled the motor out, and while the motor was out, I got a call from the fuel injection guy that my slide valve injection pump is ready. So I've decided to do a full RSR conversion on the motor.
Oh.
And so I've been, you try to make it look like an RSR motor. So you put the fiberglass shroud on it and all the pieces. And I've been fitting the shroud for about 6 months. I've been waiting for the shroud to get delivered. So it got delivered, and then I had to find the time to put it together. And so this last Saturday, I went in and just left all the doors shut and took the phone off the hook and disconnected it.
Does it show up raw and then you have to trim it to place?
Yeah,
or?
I have to fit it.
Okay.
I had to fit it. So I did that on Saturday. So now I'm ready to drop the fuel injection on the motor and finish the motor. And once the motor's rebuilt,
huge.
Yeah, once the motor's back together, then I put the car back together and go racing again.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe another 2 or 3 months away from having it back together.
So it's in progress.
Finally, yeah. I mean, I didn't. Most people, they take it apart because of money and whatever.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the time. I've been so busy.
That's always your thing.
That luckily I didn't have the time. I had to force the time.
You've been wanting to come to Breakfast Club since we started it,
Yeah.
and you don't have the time for that.
I
so,
don't. I don't.
let alone building a motor for your race car.
The motor's built, luckily.
Okay.
I just have to put
just
the
to put it
outside
back
shit
in.
on. I have to put the outside shit on it.
Okay.
The slide valve fuel injection and the lines and the injectors and the shroud.
And it's
All
all
easy
going to be
stuff for you.
redone, and it's all going to be stuff that you did, and you're
It's
going
gonna
to
be bitching.
know it. Yeah.
The motor my dad built.
Can't wait to
so
see it.
that's why I don't want to take it apart.
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
He
That's
put
cool.
the motor together. Yeah, and made 350 horsepower. I mean, it's a fucking fast motor.
Out of a what?
Out of a 3-liter.
That's great.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where you want to be, right?
it's healthy. There's probably a little bit more in it, but I'm hoping that was 350 at the crank. I'm hoping to see 350 at
Oh,
the
God.
tires. I'm hoping to see 350 at the wheels.
What's it weigh? About 21?
2180, I think it is, with me in it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's like, or 2280
Wet?
with me in it. Yeah, like ready to run. The car's scary fast. It's fun.
It's pretty rad.
That's pretty
It's
awesome.
fun. Yeah, it's
I can't wait to see that one.
I mean, like I said, it was faster than the class it was in.
Of course.
I have a question for you from Pictures of Loudness. On
Pictures
Insta-
of loud noises.
Oh, loud. Is that what it says?
Yeah, that's Sean.
Oh, okay. Best bone stock Porsche. Bone stock.
Okay,
And this is your opinion now.
Is it best bone stock car or best one that I've ever driven?
Just as best bone stock Porsche. So I'm going to say you can answer it both or either way.
I was thinking about that. I think I will say, that's tough.
I'm assuming you've driven pretty much every
I've driven
Porsche
a
out
lot
there,
of cars. I've driven a lot of cars. Honestly, like today, like right this moment, my answer would be the best bone stock 911 to buy or to own would probably be like a 94 964 C2.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
So that's the last year of the 964. So it's
yeah.
basically the last 911 before the 993, which is
Correct.
actually the coveted 911.
I don't think so. I think the 993 is a little bit too separated. The driving experience is a little too...
And then with the multi-link rear and all
yeah,
that.
but also just kind of the interior. Like I just
Too soft.
the car is more. That's I think in '95 they became Grand Touring cars.
Yeah.
Like proper Grand Tours.
And the car didn't, but the fit and finish really did.
And the feel did, like from the seat of the pants, from the driver's seat. It
Homogenized?
feels- yeah, it's just not as it's not as like engaging to me. I mean, they're wonderful cars.
Yeah.
I just think
No, it's definitely more of an executive level at that point. I think
Yeah.
they were going to
exactly
the money.
The 964 still retain that trailing arm suspension, and its mannerisms are very much early 911.
Mm-hmm.
I've been touting their praises since.
So 94 C2, that would have been
Yeah.
5-speed, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and a nice little thing you could do is you drop a 6-speed in it from a 993, and it kind of wakes up the mid-range a little bit.
That's what I've heard of people doing that. I think that's what I would do.
But honestly, I mean, I used to say that's what you have to do. The more I think about it, the more I just don't want to fuck with it.
Just keep it as is.
Yeah,
I mean,
if
that's
you're
the
gonna
whole
do
point.
anything
It's
to
so
it,
good.
re-gear it. If you're gonna do anything to it, just
Keep the
just
5 and rear gear.
Keep the 5-speed and just re-gear it. You know, put some gears in it, or even a differential, or a ring and pinion rather, and change the gear ratios.
Photos by Tej, Teej, would like to know, if not Porsche, what? And I said Porsche.
Yeah, yeah. So Tej,
Porsche.
that's a tough answer.
Is there an answer? Because
Yeah.
you were born into this one.
I was.
So maybe you would be in radio if not for Porsche.
Well, I think I'm going to take that question to mean if I was working on cars and not Porsches, what would I be working on?
Okay.
It's really tough to say. Honestly, I'd probably be a Honda mechanic because
For the sake of you love the service and
yeah,
getting
I
them in
just
and out.
again, it comes back to me. I like to fix shit
You like the grind too? Like the daily grind of it all?
sometimes.
Yeah, I kind of do too. That's why we do this show daily.
Yeah, I sometimes do.
It just keeps me motivated. It keeps me moving on other shit. If I've got something that I have to crank on, it will keep me rolling for other shit.
Right. Yeah, it keeps you sharp.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
fixing
yeah.
cars.
Or dull, whatever this is. Whatever
Yeah,
it is.
It keeps the juices moving.
Sure.
I think if I had to pick like kind of a Halo or whatever, maybe something German, Volkswagen or BMW.
BMW, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
BMW.
wouldn't fuck with Italian cars. That just seems like a life of misery.
I feel like it's just too big a jump. It's different enough where that's a different. There are other things you would do.
I just don't. They don't Italian cars. They don't think right. They don't think. The Italian designers don't think like Germans, and I like the German thought process. That's what I'm saying. Not that I don't like Ferraris and Alphas and whatever. I think they're wonderful cars and they're beautiful and they make all the right noises.
Agreed.
And I just have no desire to own one.
When they're
work on
operating
one.
properly, they are spectacular. But
I
I don't
have-
want to be the guy who's dealing with that.
I love VWs and Porsches and BMWs.
I'd sooner get a bunch of old Beetles
Yeah.
than one Ferrari.
Probably.
How about favorite motor to start with for a hot rod build? That comes to us from the 912 registry. Favorite motor to start with?
Well, if it's a 912 to start with, I mean, I'd start
In
with
that case, sure.
Yeah,
But
no, I start with a 912 motor. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing a hot rod 912, you start with a 912 motor, or even a Type 4 motor.
I think this is for anybody. It's coming from the 912 registry, but for any favorite motor to start with for a hot rod build.
For like a 911, a 3-liter is probably the most elastic.
Okay.
You know,
That's
can
the SC, right? Basically.
yeah, 78 to 83. I think the SC motor. There's always so many caveats, right?
Sure.
Like if you have to smog the car, then that's not the one to start with. But if you're doing like a 70, if you're doing a pre-smog or emissions are not an issue, I think the 3-liter is a great place to start because of what you can build from it. You can build all the way up from 3-liter to 3.4.
Wow.
You know, and
from that 3, you can go as
from
big
a
as
3 liter,
3.4.
you can go to a 3.4, like safely, and
What do
can
you do to make that happen?
bore and stroke.
They drill all those holes bigger.
Yeah.
Oh,
You just put bigger
okay.
pistons
And
and
then
cylinders
everything
and a
that goes
longer
in them
stroke.
is bigger.
The piston's the thing you were holding in that video, right? We needed a new.
No, that is the slave cylinder.
Oh,
That is for the clutch.
my bad.
Yeah, the pistons are like what go up and down and do
Oh,
the
okay.
compression
And usually, you know,
yeah.
if you've ever
Yeah.
seen them, they alternate.
Yeah, I try to, when you guys talk, I try to apply the language to my memories of my dad fixing our cars, but it was a Toyota and something else.
Well,
and
they
he
have
was
pistons.
It's all the same stuff, yeah, for sure.
Pistons, now I know where that was.
I think yeah. So the 3 liter is a good one because you can mechanically inject them. You know, you can do
Okay.
fuel injection, you can do carburetors. I mean, there's all kinds of options on valve sizing and port sizing.
So you have a little more play.
There's a lot of room to move with a 3 liter.
Cool.
The problem is that they're getting harder and harder to come by and more expensive.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like 3 years ago, the SC was the only one you could still get.
Yeah. I mean, an SC motor costs you $8,000. Just a core.
grief.
Costs you $8,000.
Jeez.
You're better off buying one with a car.
Sometimes. I mean, I also, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the small bore shit. I love like 2.2. My favorite, if I had to pick one car to own from all the years of Porsche or whatever,
This is
like
interesting.
street cars.
Nobody asked this. I want to know.
Yeah, like if I had to pick one street car to own and live with daily forever, it would be a 70S, 1970 911S.
Really?
Yeah, the 2.2S. I think that the car, Porsche, it was the first year they got everything right. Because 69 was a changeover year, and they were still figuring out shit like electrics.
That was the first long wheelbase too, right? Was that
yeah.
all that switch at the same time?
Exactly, but the 69 is is very much a 1 year only car with a lot of singular parts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, whereas 70, pretty much 70 to 73 are essentially the same car. Essentially, like there's a lot of little things, but you can use 73 parts in a 70. You can use 74, 5, 6, 7 parts in a 70.
Okay.
The shock tower is different because, you know, it has the 901 gearbox versus the 915, so the way that all that shit fits. But it's, for all intents and purposes, can be used. But I think bone stock, they are the most analog, like, I think they're the most like the race cars that Porsche got. 69 had a lot of race car shit that was made into street car shit, like the motor. First year for fuel injection, the first year for mechanical fuel
Is it
injection.
like the 69s that dipped their toe in and then the commitment came in 1970? Is that sort
No,
of the
they
thing?
committed in 69.
Okay.
But they did it in such a way that it's odd. Like
Okay.
a 69S motor is 69S only. 70S is almost like 71. And, you know, there's a lot of interchangeable stuff.
Can you tell all that stuff just by looking at something? Or do you have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, can you tell just by looking at an engine in the back that, oh, well, that's a 71?
Well, there are
because it's got the
telltale
thing.
signs. But I mean, there's stamps and numbers and stuff like that.
That's what I meant by going and looking at it, I'm sure. But can you just by looking at it, you know what I mean? You've seen so many.
Generally, you can kind of pick them apart. But, you know, in 70, they didn't have the in the engine compartment, they didn't have the circuit panel cover. So, like, it was still laid bare. You know, like, they hadn't started
more
to
Rough
clean
Rider.
Up. They hadn't started cleaning shit up yet. Right?
Yeah, I
and
like
it was
that.
a 2.2, so it was a small bore motor, but it would spin. You know, they just spin and they're lively, and the car is very light.
I love what you just said about not they hadn't started cleaning shit up yet.
Yeah, it
because
was still
half the
raw.
stuff on our car that's
Yeah.
different than other cars is stuff that we just simply have removed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the little covers on the seatbelt things. Like, who the fuck needs that? Like, that's off because all you need is the nut at the top. You know what I mean? Like all of that crap.
Yeah.
I don't understand the reason for it because it's all just crap that breaks and falls apart and goes against the whole less is more
That's the
minimalism
thing.
from the
People-
beginning.
But Porsche has gone away from less is more and more towards luxury and comfort. Right?
Well, that's what you're saying with the 993 sort of started.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like throughout. You got to remember when these cars are new and their price point, who can afford to buy them? Doctors,
Right.
lawyers, kings, queens. No, really, like people of means.
Right.
You know, until they're 3 to 5 years old, they're very expensive vehicles.
Yeah.
And then even in 3 to 5 years, they kind of come down, but not like
Not like
a
other
Honda.
cars. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the people who have that kind of money or have that level of power, we'll say, they know how they like things and they want things a certain way and they want luxury, they want silence, but they want horsepower and they want it to handle well. And so you have to cater to your market. And so I understand why the cars have become what they've become. And I
Yeah.
mean, the size of them has grown due to DOT regulations for
Safety and
for
everything.
you know how far your head has to be from the roof. That's an actually mandated measurement.
100%.
Now, I didn't know that until I spoke to a designer. Who said,
Headlight height, everything, right?
yeah, and the materials you make them out of, so when you hit a pedestrian, they don't die. They just get really hurt.
Yep.
Like, that's a thing.
Sure.
They don't want you to die. They want you to just get really hurt. But so you live, and you can continue living your life, even if it's in a wheelchair.
Right.
But my
Right.
point is that things have become what they have become due to, factors beyond Porsche's control.
Right.
But also because they want to sell cars. They're in the business of selling cars.
Yeah.
So you have to cater to people who are going to buy them, right? And
The-
so
yeah. The new ones, I just feel like it's coming around a little bit with the people that we talk to of like the old stuff. Like they want to feel the
But
real
see,
cars.
Yeah,
but the other side of it is if you can afford a new one, you could probably afford both.
100%.
Oh,
But
sure.
there are people that we're saying there are people like I'd love to have a nice new car, but I like the old shit. So like that Carrera T is appealing to me because of the mechanical diff. The other stuff, I see it just as marketing ploy, and it's just computer tuning on how you change the same car that you build on the line. But the mechanical diff makes a difference to me because you feel that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And especially the driving that we do up in the canyons, you would absolutely feel that.
Right.
So stuff like that I think is really cool. That 911R was neat, at the time. I mean, it became a whole thing culturally, but I mean, just as a car that the company put out, whoa, that's awesome. I feel like these are good hybrids of a little bit of new, a little bit of old. It's still the new car, but they're like pulling a little bit away and giving you a little bit of the old.
Well, they know people what is old is new again, right?
100%.
But they can't go all the way back legally.
Right.
So they have to work within the box they're given, and so they try to.
I love it.
They try
I
to
love
do
what
it.
they're doing. I like all the little
Yeah.
nods, the little black vents, all the stuff that they're doing that's more, we know that it's modern. We know that everything's different. Everything's LED. Everything, you know what I mean? We get it. It's a technological world. Those little nods make me happy. That's really what it comes down to for me.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
More on the car behind the radio in the photo.
That is a 65 911. We did not restore that car, but we finished that car.
Okay.
Somebody else did. I'll give them.
try to pull it.
I'll give them 90%.
Okay.
They did 90% of the job.
Okay.
But it's always the last 10% that matters. Like, it's the hardest part of the whole process is the last 10%. And so I don't know the story about why.
it works a little bit.
Oh, I got you.
Kind of.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know the story about how the car came to me instead of having the other shop finish it. But the car came to us, and Steve, the guy who works with me,
Bizarro J.
Bizarro J.
Bizarro- oh.
You're Bizarro Steve. Sorry,
Right.
man.
Yeah.
Totally fair, but I
me,
saw
he's
it in
Bizarro
person.
J,
yeah, right.
It
I
was
told you.
hilarious.
I told you.
I know. I'm just validating what you said.
Brown eyes. That's it. I mean, it's really it.
Otherwise, you're the same person.
Very similar.
How can you be in two places at once?
It's crazy.
Can you tell me how you do this? Okay.
Yeah, multiplicity.
So anyway, it's a 65 black, matching numbers, for sale automobile. Bitchin' car.
For sale.
For sale. Currently on the market, but not listed anywhere.
Okay. Is it?
It is not my car. The car
But
is going
this
to be
is-
heading back to Maryland on a truck. But if you want to save shipping both ways, you're happy. You're welcome
Get
to
it-
buy
get it while it's here.
Get it while it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same guy. That was, by the way, I know this guy. I just don't know how to pronounce his name. But Chenny 962. He actually lives down in Florida, but he does one of these type things at the Ace Cafe.
Oh, cool.
With a bunch of the Porsche groups down there. So
cool.
it's pretty cool. They do it live, actually, like at the event.
Nice.
Whatever, once a month or however often it is. But it sounds pretty cool, and he reached out, and that's how we know him. He also would like to know. Let's see. Do you think that, how do you feel Porsche Classic is going to affect the future impact? Or I wrote it out of order, apparently. I'm dyslexic. How do you feel that Porsche Classic is going to impact the future of TLG and other small business Porsche facilities?
I have a lot of different feelings about Porsche Classic. I think that initially it started out as a way for Porsche to capture what they saw as a market that was getting away from them. Right? That said, I think that it could be great for everybody.
Yeah.
I think the Porsche Classic program has in the direction that it's currently heading has benefits for everyone, because not everyone can afford a Porsche classic restoration, right? Bring your car to Porsche, they charge you X amount of dollars and gives you a brand new car back.
Brand new.
Some people don't want a brand new car. Some people can't afford a brand new car. And when I say brand new, I mean fully restored brand new.
Yeah.
You know, a shop like mine, we can do it however you want it. I prefer to build cars with original parts that are old and a little maybe tired and brought back from the dead. You know,
Yeah.
To keep the originality type of...
build the patina into the car,
Sure.
number one. But number two, I don't care how good the parts are now. They're not the same as they were.
Okay.
Nothing new fits like something old.
Interesting.
They're just not the same.
The manufacturing processes are probably all different now, right?
Or even if they're using the same stamps, those stamps are 50 years old.
Changed, yeah,
They've
sure.
been stamped out.
Yeah.
Right? So they'll produce a door, but they're just not quite right. So,
But if you find a period thing and dress it up and fix
you
it
find
up
an original
or whatever
door,
you need
it'll
to
fit
do.
better than a brand new one every day of the week.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So
I wouldn't have known that prior to this conversation.
yeah, I mean, new isn't always better. Is not always better. But I do think that Porsche is doing wonderful things that is good for everybody, in that they're now starting to support these cars. So parts that were no longer available, you know, mechanical parts like certain filters or door latches or clips and clamps, the shit that you need to hold the car together and make it a whole car that you, for years and years and years, decades, couldn't get, suddenly available again.
Isn't that something?
And if you don't see it, but it does the job and it looks 99% of the way, then hell yeah, give me 10 of them.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's a gray area, but I don't see it as it's not going to put me out of business.
No, I think...
There's no possible
agree.
way Porsche Classic is going to put me out of business, because we are different businesses.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
I agree.
I feel
think
like they know that.
But I also think that without us, they can't exist. And without
Agreed.
them, we can still exist, but our life is going to be much more difficult. So it just makes more sense to work together.
I agree fully. This seems like just a good partnership.
Yeah.
It's once it all gets figured out. You know what I mean? It's still new.
Yeah.
In 2011, I went to Europe, and I was there. I went with a ticket, a rail pass, and a pocket full of money and a backpack. And
Whoa.
I had absolutely no plan. And I knew a couple of people that lived in Switzerland.
What did you say, 2001?
2011.
2011. Holy crap.
Yeah. And I had a friend who works for Porsche in Stuttgart, and so I knew I could land there if I needed to.
Sure.
So I got to his place, and he took me to Porsche Classic, the actual building where they have
Really
the Porsche
cool.
Classic Center. And I met the guy on top, and I was talking to him, and the things he told me that they were working on was like super cool. And then I saw the vault and the cars that were in line for restoration, and there's so many cars that got done by them that you just don't even know about.
Cool.
Wow.
You know, but what was interesting is I was telling him we have a really hard time getting certain parts. And he goes like, what? And I said, well, when you take a fan apart to repair it, you know, and to restore the fan, the rivets to hold the pulley back in the fan don't exist. He goes, yes, they do. And I said, we had to make them. You know, the guy who does the fans, he had to make them, and he'd make the tools. He goes, we have the rivets. I said, but I can't get the part number. He says, I can. So he gave me the part number for the rivets. And we went back to L.A. and called it into the dealer, and they're like, that doesn't exist. I go, just run the number. And they ran the number. They go, holy crap, this number exists. And I'm like, give me
just not in
100
the
of
systems.
them. Give me 100 of them, right? They were like 10 cents a piece or something
Sure.
like that, whatever. So I bought them, and I gave them to my friend, and he used some of them, and he's like, these just aren't as good as the ones I made. The material's not the same, and blah, blah, blah. So he had worked his out to where he was comfortable. But the fact that it existed is the point of this story, right? And so there's a lot going on behind the scenes that it doesn't show up in those books. That
Right.
doesn't show up in literature and things that, you know, make it to the public. But Porsche is really working hard behind the scenes to make these cars viable, or making the parts viable to keep the cars on the road for the long haul. Like they're going to outlast us, and that's good.
That's awesome.
You know, the cars
Yeah.
are going to be there for the next generation, and that's what we hope for.
Yeah.
I think of them as art, so I mean, I feel like that just makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
that they
Keeping the
transcend.
paintbrushes working, like it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same guy, and I'll try to read this one a little better this time. What do you respect most? Oh, sorry. Who do you respect most, or who has helped you the most in the Porsche community over the years?
Well,
That's
aside
a
from my father,
really good question.
Yeah, aside from my dad,
I
of
thought that was
course.
built in.
Yeah. You know, it's really tough. I mean, the easy answer is a guy like Rod Emery.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an easy answer, right? Because we're almost the same age, because we're neighbors, because we have a shared similarity in story and whatever.
And you're both gracious and generous humans.
Yeah,
appreciate
awesome.
I just want to throw that
I'm
out.
not that person. I've got you fooled.
You are when I know you. I don't care about the rest of them.
Looking at the much larger picture, it's hard to just name one person.
Sure.
I could name 5 in 5 seconds.
Okay.
Kevin Jeanette at Gunner Racing, Rod Emery, Emery Motorsports, Dave Buhane at Road and Race. Let's see, who else was there? There was Scott Hendry at Scott's Independent, and Dan Reese also at Scott's Independent.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
those guys are great.
I don't know a soul. I don't know any of them.
No, I love that.
I have my father was my mentor. Like, number one, taught me 90% of what I know. But when he wasn't around, the other people that I mentioned, the ability to talk to people and get them to help and have that conversation and give you the knowledge that they earned, like to share that earned knowledge is a very special thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have the respect and the knowledge of that,
Like-
the understanding of that, whereas a lot of people don't.
I'll tell you, I learned that from Tony Callis at Callis
There's
Rennsport.
another guy I love.
Yeah,
good
Tony.
dude.
Tony's
Yep.
a wonderful guy.
Yep.
And
Big time.
for a lot of years, he'll admit this, that he was not the most outgoing and helpful person if he didn't know you or like you. But I feel like in the last 4 or 5 years, Tony has actually done a 180-degree turn and has become one of the most helpful, the most open and sharing people in the community.
Wow.
Like with other shop owners, with other mechanics across the United States, not just locally, but like with the teaching programs he does and stuff like that, and the knowledge he puts out there. I mean, that guy is like, number one, he's got a ton of experience that he'll tell you about if you ask the right questions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get to know him to
get through
really
the-
know how cool he
You got to
is.
get over the fence.
Yeah, and he's not like the most outgoing guy, but he is.
Once you know him, he is though. That
But
smile,
that's what I'm saying.
smile coming across
Yeah.
the parking lot is,
Yeah.
it warms my heart.
But he's not the most
Love him.
outgoing. Is my
Right.
point. Like
Okay.
he's warm and he's welcoming once you get to him.
Right.
Right. But again, like
I
it's
feel like the same could be said of all of us, though. I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
certainly me and you, but I
Yeah.
even think of you. It didn't after your first appearance here. Didn't somebody say, "Hey, I thought you"? Did you say, "Hey, I thought you were an asshole," but you're not?
Oh,
you were so great
probably.
on that. I can't remember who it was. You were telling us, or maybe it's the same.
Yeah.
Joe Maxwell or
Yeah.
somebody. Very funny.
Yeah. So Tony, I mean, the first time I met him, it was like we were kind of testing each other a little bit. But
feeling
when
it out?
Yeah, I mean, you have to because you can't welcome everybody into your circle, and because then
Yeah.
you get people that will steal all of your information
Mm-hmm.
and work and use it for their own good,
Yeah.
at your debt, and then they will try to sink you, right? But a guy like Tony, once we found each other, like in our rhythm, I mean, he has been such a help to me, like just from a business perspective, like, dude, we're all in this together, right? Like, it doesn't do anybody any good to hold the information and not tell everyone. You can't tell everybody everything.
Right.
You got to keep a little back, which gives you your edge, right? But at the same time, you don't. Edge, we're in LA.
Yeah.
Like,
The information's available. You
Yeah.
guys have helped to make it available. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, everyone has to figure out their own shit.
yeah, I would do anything for that guy.
That's
If
it.
he
He's
calls me, needs
fantastic.
parts, needs anything. I mean, and the thing is, I know it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Like, if I called him and said, I'm in a bind, help me out. No problem. What can I do for you?
Yeah.
Like, I was driving by his shop one day, and I popped in just to say hello, and they were cleaning out the place for the lit show. They were going to do their,
Oh,
their
the open house. Yeah, yeah, of
And
course.
so, he stopped what he was doing, and I needed 15 minutes. I need to kill 15 minutes. And a half an hour, 45 minutes later, I'm like, dude, I got to go. I'm late. He's like, oh, shit. All right, cool. But it's just like,
Let alone the stuff he had going on.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But, that's what I'm saying. Guys like him and Scott and Rod and Dan and even Dave at Road and Race, like, Dave's a parts guy. He's not a mechanic. He's a parts guy. But access to him has gotten me access to information. And when I'm in a bind, I know he has the parts I need.
It seems like
You
the
know.
common denominator here is just generosity and respect.
Yeah.
Kindness.
Kindness. Yeah.
Kindness. Doesn't pay to be a dick. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's straight up true.
I mean, I can be a dick, but I try not
Everyone
to be.
can be, but yeah, it is what it is.
we're already an hour and a half, but I do have a couple other questions.
All right, I'll be quick.
Why did you reach out to us initially? Because we had this conversation, but I feel like for everybody else.
Well, I don't know what I told you. What did I tell you?
Oh, well, I'd rather know the real answer.
Well, the funny thing is like everybody you guys were everywhere. You were nowhere, and then suddenly you were everywhere. And I started asking,
not a good
who
thing.
the fuck are these people? Like, they always seem so smiley and happy, and they're always at all the things. And I asked George, he goes, they're pretty nice people. I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, I don't know, they're just really nice. I'm like, okay. So I figured,
Thanks, George.
I figured I would reach out
appreciate
to
it.
you guys. And also, when Rod was on the show, I do everything that he does because I'm a follower.
Great.
Did you come on after him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I,
no,
I didn't remember that.
That's a joke, but no, but it was like,
Well, John Benton's coming in next week, so
Is he
he's doing it
really?
because you guys did it.
Of course he is. Beat you,
No, he's
John.
awesome.
Beat you.
He's awesome.
No,
We're
John's
excited.
great. And if you want to know some cool stories, ask John how we met.
I will.
Noted.
I've known John for a lot of
He'll
years.
be here next Tuesday if
Yeah.
you want to be in the audience.
I got to work.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, flapping my gums till 2:00 in the afternoon. But
All right, so we
anyway,
were
that's-
nowhere, then we were everywhere, and George said they're nice people.
And I'm like, oh, they're cool people, and they're going to be everywhere. I'm going to see them eventually. Let's get to know these people.
That's awesome,
And you guys
man.
just seem like really genuinely cool people.
When we actually finally met, you invited us. I mean, we had corresponded a bunch on the social, but then you invited us to that event. It was that we just did again. And it
Third Sunday of every month at Jade's Coffee Shop
Can we say the
or
name?
Market.
Classic Cars and Cafe.
Classic Cars Cafe. Yeah, it's at Beverly Glen Center. Third Sunday of every month.
It is so nice and chill, and it just
Let's
Yeah,
keep it that
I
way.
hope it stays that way.
I want yeah.
We
that
all
was,
enjoyed
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Rod Emery came this week, and
Yeah.
we were shooting the shit about it, and it was like he didn't know about it and the whole thing. I said, yeah, as long as this is like awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a great like central look.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, and that's what. And
Which
now
is,
all of a
like,
sudden,
the worst.
Then I saw they had a social media thing, and so we wore the shirt on the show yesterday and the whole
Nice.
thing because to try to show the support. But meanwhile, it was like when we had the conversation about it, it was like we're going to keep this quiet, right?
No.
Because
But
we
yeah,
ended up
but-
driving there together, didn't we? Picked you
Kind
up on
of,
the way.
yeah.
Certainly pick me up.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you want to keep it quiet, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want cool shit to show up. and
Exactly.
Cool people. All right. I want to talk about you can just see it barely in the corner here past Mrs. Ryan. There is a TLG pig sticker. Can you tell us about that?
Where is that sticker? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so I don't know how many years ago this was. It had to be like 2004-ish or so. Our group was headed north for the annual Treffin event. And so we all bombed the crazy roads and did our thing. We ended up in Avila Beach at the pier for lunch. Somebody liked the
Fried
tacos.
clams.
Everybody loves the fish
Oh,
tacos.
fish tacos,
Fish
yeah.
tacos, fish tacos, fish tacos. What the fuck? So we're in the parking lot after these fish tacos, which were pretty good. And everyone's just standing around and loafing and whatever. And my dad said, guys, what are we going to do here? We're going to stand around talking. Let's drive these pigs.
Boom.
Right? And so
Oh yeah.
that became
The
my
world's
dad's
forever
saying.
changed.
Yeah, my dad's saying was, let's drive these pigs. Then a few, I don't know, years later or something like that. So there's the old IMSA GT was the camel riding the Porsche. That was the logo, right? So one
Were
of
they sponsored by Camel or something back then?
it was like it was
Yeah.
like Camel was the series sponsor,
Right,
and
right.
so they wrote the Camel on top of the 70-something IROC car, or the RSR, or whatever. And then one of the guys in the club is an artist, and he drew a picture of the pig riding in the Porsche.
Okay.
And then when my dad passed away, they reissued that logo, and they put my dad's quote, "Let's drive these pigs."
Aw.
Yeah,
Your
so
dad.
that's how it came about.
That's one of the
Yeah.
reasons we put that in the studio is in addition to the TLG Auto because I was
I love
like,
it.
father-son thing, I get that big. I just thought it was neat. I like the story. Warms in my heart. I
Yeah.
like stuff like that. To me, that shows who you are too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You came from that and vice
all
versa. And you still
connected.
salute it, which to me is a big deal. A lot of people just kind of, whatever. I mean, I know
What?
it was sort of recent that your dad passed, but
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I said before, I learned 99% of what I know, 90% of what I know from him. So why wouldn't I, give him credit when it's due?
100%.
I mean, he started the business. I stepped into his shoes. I'm not him, no way. Hopefully, in some ways, I'm better. But
Absolutely.
I'm not saying he wasn't good. You know, we're different people.
Totally, man.
But yeah, I just hope to take like his best qualities and carry them over.
It sounds like that's
that's
the way to be a good human.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
know-
If we all did more of that.
He's one of those guys that have forgotten more than most people will know. You know, that was like kind of his thing. And it wasn't until until he passed away that I realized how lucky I was. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky." Yeah, I mean, we had our ups and downs. What I really miss is his like ability to rattle off information about Porsches. Like, Dad, what color is the oil light wire?
Nice.
You
Dad,
could just
what
shout it out
color
and he
is
would
this?
know. And
Or I'm working on a 70 something, you know, what's the cam time? I mean, like, that's just a dumb example, but it was like just knowledge. Like, just, I didn't have to go to the books. I
Got
had
the
one.
original
It was
Google.
Tony, right?
It was my dad, yeah.
but all right, so it was like Siri, like Tony,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah,
you know?
right. But it was
for
funny.
Porsche talk.
I didn't realize how much it said, hey, Dad. Like, that was my thing.
Wow.
Like, and then he was
then
gone,
you
and I actually went to ask him a question one time, and he wasn't there, and I'm like, fuck. Like, I really gotta.
Did that only happen once?
Oh,
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
For me, anytime you slip out of it or you're thinking about something else, it would happen.
yeah. I mean, Steve, who I work with, I mean, he gets it.
Yeah.
Because he would ask my dad stuff too. So
Oh, he's been there long enough that he knew your dad.
yeah,
too.
oh yeah.
Oh,
My
cool.
dad. I mean, remember Steve? I've known him since we were in high school, and so
You said that when there was a bizarre situation. I don't think it ever actually sunk in. I was still trying to find the resemblance.
yeah. So he knew my dad for 20 something years.
Whoa.
But he's worked with us for I'm gonna say 5 years
Well,
at
maybe
least.
that's why we feel we know each other,
Maybe.
because you've got the Steve connection in me.
Well, you guys are connected, right? Like
Somehow.
mentally.
Somehow, he's
So-
a nice guy, and he was all up inside our junk. I'll tell you that.
He definitely did the job.
What do you have anything for us before we wrap up? Because you're here only every 2 months is all we get you or so.
Well, I just want to answer George's question. My favorite cracker. My
Ooh.
favorite snack cracker.
That's right.
Yes, it's very important.
I mean,
I did put it on here. I figured I would skip it, but it is here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or savory.
Well, that's the tough one, right? Okay, so as
You
a
can only
ki-
pick one.
but as a kid, it was Melba toast.
What?
Yeah,
Whoa.
I
I've
never even
loved-
heard of it.
I
How
loved
boring.
Melba toast. Well, but it was great, right? Because like you could eat it alone, or you could eat it with soup.
Yeah.
So, so Melba
Yeah.
toast.
That's stale.
Yeah, exactly. Because they were always stale.
We're always
Yeah. In my adult life, I think my favorite snack cracker would maybe be the vanilla wafer.
Oh boy, that's
Oh,
a good
yeah.
choice.
That's a
I
good
mean,
one.
I
I mean,
love
it's a
me some
cookie
vanilla
probably,
wafer.
but that is a good
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
It's one of my
It's in the
all-time
cookie
favorites.
aisle at the
Is it in the
grocery
cookie
store.
aisle?
I believe so.
Well, what about the Le Petit Écoulé?
I don't know that one.
That's the little like chocolate bowl, like the
Chocolate is not a cracker,
but
right?
it's on like a cracker with like,
Oh, really?
like a hunk of chocolate. Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Ooh, salty and sweet.
So it seems like sweet. He likes
No,
sweet.
it's-
Yeah, it's more sweet. Okay.
Vanilla
sweet.
wafers. Yeah.
That's a good choice there. That
I think
one,
that was
that
Le
one
Petit
got me.
Écoulé, but the Nilla is the solid.
That's a good one.
You can't lose with a Nilla wafer.
All right, well, you keep being awesome, man. We fucking love you.
Please.
Seriously.
So much.
Thanks for everything, and just keep doing it, because
Thanks.
I'm glad we're friends.
I like being here. You guys
Yeah?
are fun. Yeah.
Thanks.
What's the Letterman stuff? What do you think? It was
Oh.
just the desk
Oh,
and the
yeah.
table last
No,
time.
it's killer. It's killer. It's a totally different vibe. It's a totally different vibe. I like it.
In a good way?
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
a lateral move for me.
Yeah,
it's not
yes.
an up or
Just
down.
different.
It's just like a
It's just
lateral. Like it's equally cool.
I just
in
love
its own
hearing
way.
what people think because it is different and it's so neat.
But here's the thing: I never, in my wildest dreams, would have thought that I would sit at the Letterman desk
in
Yeah.
the guest
or
chairs.
the
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
for me, it's kind of like mind blowing, right? But
When you
didn't-
see it later, I think most people, like, when they actually see the footage, they're like, "This is the coolest! I can't believe it."
yeah, no, it's totally awesome.
That's awesome.
But weren't the chairs over there?
They were.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm not like out of my mind.
No, Jay switched around to make it his own.
We could have done it. I
Thing.
tried to keep it still
No,
into the
it's-
dining room feel, because believe it or not, even though you couldn't tell from looking around here, that chair and this chair are really almost in the same place they were when the table was in the middle. And Nicole would have been there when the
Right.
toolbox behind. So it's weird because it looks so physically different, and we're shooting it differently and stuff.
No, it's good.
So that was the reason behind it, and just to be different. You know what I mean? To make it our own and not just do a Dave.
No, it's good. I'm glad that it's not a Dave replica because that wouldn't be good.
It's not what we ever wanted to go for. This happened into our life. We want to use this stuff for a real show that we're pitching. You know what I mean? So
Right.
but in the meantime, to get this going, it seemed like the best choice.
Yeah, I dig it.
Thanks, man.
You're
we
welcome.
love you for real. George, I love you too, man. I'm so happy that you're here.
Love you, man.
For real.
Peace,
Love
man.
you, Mrs. Ryan. We love all of you at home. Tomorrow, Carol Leifer is here. Thursday, Richard Chasler. It warms my heart to be able to say that tomorrow we have Carol Leifer on our
You guys have some killer
talk show.
guests. I am such
Yeah.
a schlub compared to these people.
Totally.
Like you guys
Don't say that.
No.
Right?
Don't say that.
So you get it.
Don't
you know
say
what
that.
I'm saying. You guys are
I
like
think it's
top shelf, and I'm just like, field filler.
That's not
disregard.
true.
Disregard. Not true at all.
You guys need field fillers. I am that person. I'm good with it. I'm
You're
a
so
mid-pack.
self-deprecating. You belong in the
No,
East
no.
Coast. Not at all.
We love everybody. We'll see you
Love
tomorrow.
you guys.
Dude, you're awesome. That's so cool.
Music playing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. That was fun.